My name's Jeff Hefner. I work at Blackbaud. I am one of the Altru product support leads. In this video for merchandise, we will cover adding a merchandise vendor and how to search for an existing vendor record. A vendor record is used to record the supplier information of where the merchandise came from. In my example, I'm going to use Acme, and Acme supplies me with my custom nameplates, my pens, my DVDs, my 2011 calendars. They also sell me my clothing, my hats, my socks. Before we can sell merchandise, we have to associate it with a vendor so the system knows where that item came from. From the home page, we're going to click on merchandise, which is this tag right here, and it's going to bring us to the merchandise landing page. We have two options under vendors. One is add a vendor, and the other is vendor search. As the names imply, from here we can add a new vendor record, and from here we can search for an existing vendor. We're going to go ahead and do add a vendor. This is the add vendor form. I'm going to put in a name. I'm going to just call it Acme. And if I wanted to, I could use more of a description. Acme supplies So I put in a little description. It kind of tells me for this record, maybe what I'm getting from them and what I use it for. Down here I can put in contact information for the place of business that I'm using. I can put in the address type. Maybe I'm going to put in, I have a billing address or a business address for them. Just use ours. I can also put in a phone number for them too. So I'm going to say, let's use business. I can also add a primary contact to this vendor record. So maybe I have a constituent record in my database that is my contact for this vendor. I can either search for an existing contact or I can add a new constituent record. In this case, I'm just going to search for an existing one. I'm just going to use myself as the primary contact for Acme. Down here you see once I've chosen that I do have a primary contact, I have to put in what relationship I am to the vendor. In this case, they're my employer, and in turn that makes me the employee. I can now save this record. This is the vendor record. Right now we don't have any merchandise items set up for that vendor, which makes sense because we just added this vendor. But if we did, when we would go search for an existing vendor, this is the record that would pull up and we'd see anything that we had associated with them. So now we're going to go and look for an existing vendor. To do so, I'm going to go back to the merchandise page, and then I'm going to click vendor search. It's pretty identical to what you would use if you're searching for a constituent record. I can put in any identifying information such as the name, maybe I know what they sell me, maybe a specific merchandise SKU, maybe I have a barcode from one of the merchandise items and I want to see who supplied me with that. Or you can just hit search, which is going to return all the vendor records that are in the system. We can see the Acme record, which I just added, and then I also have one in there for Scripps, which I added earlier this afternoon. From the search window, I can double click any of these records and it will take me back to the actual the vendor record, which is what we saw after we added the new vendor. We have a couple options on the left-hand side. We can edit the vendor, which is going to bring up the same form we saw before, and allow us to change the name and the description, and even put in what website we go to. We can also delete this vendor too. Maybe I put it in there in error, or I no longer use them anymore. I can delete them. I can also mark them as inactive, which would be the preferred method if I've ever sold anything that they supplied me with.